positive.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us on our August 5th edition of Be Positive Show. I have joining me today I'm student doctor. She doesn't like for me to call her that. She doesn't like for me to call her a doctor because she is not officially a doctor yet. She won't be until she's on the way. She's 6 months away from being doctor. But you know what? It's so weird. I had a guest on my show, Dr. Kidd, Sharon Kidd, and I used to call her Dr. Kidd before she became a doctor because I'm a firm believer of speaking those things as if they are. And do you know now she is a doctor?
Yeah.
So I'm going to call you that. I don't care what other people say. I don't say that student doctor. We're not going to do that because you are a student doctor now.
Yes.
But I'm going to call you Dr. Janae Harris. Okay,
yes.
So that's what you are to me, all right?
All right, I got it.
So thank you for joining me on today, all right?
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
So it's kind of funny. You and I talked briefly, and I told you, I said, this is my idea of what I want you to do. I met you in November of 2018 at Mount Pleasant, and you were phenomenal. You came up there, and my choir was invited there to sing with Anita Wilson. We sung background for her, and you got up there and you spoke. I don't even remember, but that was something that you spoke about, and you talked about my hands. There was something, I can't remember what you spoke about, but there was something about my hands or something. Do you remember what it was that you spoke about?
Yes. So on that Sunday, I spoke about products of retained conception. Yeah, retained products of conception. That's what I spoke about. So it's a OBGYN term, so obstetrician, gynecologist type term. And it's a term that basically means that the mother, after having the baby, there was left over either tissue, fetal tissue, it can be maternal tissue, or any type of product that was used to conceive the baby left over inside the mom. And it causes this systemic reaction, like the mom bleeds out, she can become septic, and it's what we consider as a emergency. It's a medical emergency. So yeah, that was my topic.
That was so amazing. It just did something to me, and that stuck out in my mind. But what really stuck out in my mind was after that, we got a chance to talk. And we stood in line for an hour, and that was God ordained ordered, wasn't it?
Wow,
because we talked for an hour, because we stood in line for an hour waiting for a DVD.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that? I got to meet your dad, your mom, your, was it your brother? Or
my little brother.
Yeah.
There
and it was,
John.
I think it was only us and me and your family and one of my church members. And I think we were out there for an hour waiting because they kept trying to burn the CD and it wouldn't burn, but it was meant for us to sit there because we talked and we exchanged telephone numbers and I got to be able, and at the time I didn't have the Be Positive show, but there was a reason for it. It was because God was ordaining and orchestrating this moment right now for this day, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when I talked to you, I said, I want you to do what you did when I met you. And you said, no, that's not really what I want to talk about. And I was like, so disappointed. But then when we talked, I understood. I understood what you wanted to talk about, and I appreciated that because you're right. That's what needed to be heard on today.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to talk about.
Wow. And God is really good, especially being a young woman, and especially being in ministry and doing medical school, and being a student for so long. I tend to normally, whenever people ask me to do anything, it's a straight up yes. Like, I'm just like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And what happens is I think like, oh, I'm serving God by just saying yes no matter what. And it took time. It took until 29, I'm 29, for him to really open up the atmosphere and just say like, no, that's not how you serve me. Because I don't answer you yes every time you call on me. I answer you with different directions, and I tell you ways to how to do it, but it's not always a yes. Sometimes it's a solid no for you.
Oh, wow.
And through that knowledge, I've been a little more comfortable saying, that's not what's on my spirit. I either can't or I will not be doing that.
Oh my God, it's so profound you said that, because I just was telling someone, I'm the one that always says yes as well. But God said, you know what? This year, this season is your no season.
Yeah.
You're going to have to start saying no to some things.
Absolutely.
And it's okay to say no, but I always feel that I always have to say yes.
Yeah, I felt I promise you sent the text, and I was like, oh, Lord Jesus, she's going to be so mad at me. But I'm in the middle of preparing for another board exam, and I was just like, when I preach, when I minister, it's a consecrated season. Like, I'm like, say no to everything. Can't go outside. I'm like indoors, locked up, and I'm just like, I'm going to do this and study. And so I was just like, well, Lord, what am I going to do? And I just prayed about it. And with like honor, I gave you that phone call. But I'm saying that to let you know that it takes time. Not always am I very comfortable being honest with people and telling them my yes or my no. But I think that God is preparing his children for a particular season. And we can't go into that season timid. We can't go into that season pleasing others. It's only in submission and pleasing him. And he needs soldiers that's willing to fight that fight right now. So I believe that that's why he's called you to this place where you're just like, I have to be able to say no. And I have to go against being comfortable for that moment to make my God comfortable with what he's about to do for me. So yeah.
I receive that, Pastor and Dr. Harris. I really do.
Yeah, glory be to God.
So you are Spelman College graduate. Spelman. So you have a master's in medical science,
Yes,
right?
I have a
and so
master's in
you're
medical
now
science.
currently pursuing your medical degree at Morehouse Medical School of...
Yes, so Morehouse School of Medicine.
So, and you'll be graduating in 2020, right?
Yes, May 2020.
Are you excited?
I'm so excited.
So what will be your degree? What will you be graduating with?
Well, I'll be a medical doctor, so I'll be an MD.
So I can officially call you doctor. I can call you on the phone and say, hey, doc.
You can
I need
totally
to talk to you.
You can totally call me doc by then. And
I'm going to call you that anyway. So we have already come to that, right?
Yeah, in my church, Jackson Memorial Baptist Church, they call me doctor. They're like, Dr. Jada Mone'e Harris. And I always say, thank you.
You know what? I wished I would have been there. You just did a sermon February on faith.
Oh, yeah. I just did a sermon very recently on faith.
I heard about that.
On fear and faith.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I heard you were pretty amazing.
Wow.
You should have told me about that. I would have been there.
I should. That's another thing I'm working on. I am the least vocal when it comes to ministry, not just because of ministry, but because I'm also not big on social media. I haven't been able to navigate that in a way where I'm like a social media. I don't really, I'm just not good at it, and I sort of don't care. I'm actually off Instagram altogether. And then, so that's another reason. And then sometimes I feel like I don't want people to think I'm like bragging. So I'm just like, should you tell everyone that you're about to preach again? So.
I think you're my little sister.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So let's talk about your journey to medicine.
Oh, sure.
What made you, medical school, that's a big decision.
Yes.
What made Jada decided that she was going to pursue a career in medicine?
Oh, that's a good question. So when I was a little girl, probably, I can remember back as far back as being 2 years old, I always told everyone, and I knew this beyond a shadow of a doubt, that I was going to be a preacher. That's the one thing I told everyone. There was no medicine. There was nothing else. It was like, when I grow up, I'm going to be a preacher. And back then, we used to have career day at school where you can dress up as your career. And I had on a choir robe, and I had my little briefcase that had Crayola in it. And I would just walk around. I'd be like, I'm about to preach. I'm going to be a preacher. And it wasn't until about third or fourth grade, I think I was 9 years old, and this little boy, he was just like, Jada, there's no women preachers. And I was just like, oh man. And I started to think about it, and I was like, oh man, well, yeah. So whatever. I'm about to be a doctor because I know there's female doctors. And it was just like that, snap.
So in third grade, you let a man change your mind.
Hey. It was the Holy Spirit, because look, God brought it full circle. Like, I minister, and now I'm about to be a medical doctor. But I never had like a stone cold reason as to why medicine. It was just, he said that, and initially it was medicine. And from there on, it was medical. And I just did everything that I felt that was necessary to get me to that point, until in 2011, I lost my grandfather to lung cancer. And that death hit me in a way that I wasn't psychologically, I believe that's the word, ready for. And I was depressed, I was saddened, and I was pretty spiritually broken by that loss. I couldn't do my schoolwork well, and I wasn't prepared for that. I'm a good student. I'm really good at math. I'm good at participating in class. I couldn't do anything. I wouldn't show up for class. So that was really a struggle, huh? So it was a struggle. It was a huge struggle, and it was that loss to cancer that really solidified and sort of became like this catalyst for me to do medicine, because I was just like, yeah, we're not doing this again. If I lose someone else in the manner in which we lost him, I will know what's happening. I'll know what's physiologically happening in their body. I'll be able to help guide my family, but we won't go into it blind again.
So that was kind of like a driving force.
Yeah, so that's when it became real.
That's when it became real. So what were some of the other struggles that helped you just decide, okay, I'm not going to let this stop me. I'm going to go forth. And I'm just going to keep going. What are some of the other struggles that just made you just decide that I'm just going to buckle down and I'm going to do this?
Yeah, so medicine, though it was a desire and a hunger for me to be this medical doctor, it was very difficult. I mean, I faced trials day in and day out. I had a 4.0 going into Spelman College, and so naturally you think like, well, you're really bright, you're going to do amazing. And I did. I went to Spelman. I was a bio major. My first semester, I did awesome. I think I had like a 3.8 that semester, or a 3.6. I did really well. And so I felt like, oh, okay, Jada, this is just what you do. You're good at school. And then I got to the second semester, and for some reason I took my second bio class, and for some reason that class was just really difficult for me. And I was not doing well. I was studying, and I felt like the way I was studying wasn't working anymore, and I was just really depleted in that course. I thought I was going to have to withdraw or just accept a F, and I was crying every night because if you're used to feeling really bright, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, your efforts no longer work, it hits you in a way that you're not used to. And I was like a 19-year-old at that time. And so I was just really sad. And I remember going back to church, and one Sunday, and my pastor had called us up for an altar call, and I was just there. And at that point, I was going to change my major to be pre-law major. Shout out to the pre-law majors. They always got to party really hard. Not the serious ones, though. Not the serious ones. But I just thought that they were living a different lifestyle. And so I was like, pre-med is not working for me. So I was going to change my major just so that I can have a little more freedom and not be so stressed and not cry every night. And
so you were going to try to take the easy route out.
100% for me. Because for other people, things are hard for them. But I just saw people in different majors or in different backgrounds, and they were having a different time than I was. And so I knew that I was probably going to go that route. Yes. And so I went to the altar just with no real expectations at that time. And a minister came over me and started prophesying. And she was saying that I will be a doctor. At that time, no one knew that I was in school to be a medical doctor. It's not something I shared. And so I was just like, Jesus, yes, you're doing it. And then she spoke about having a husband, and she spoke about all these things that I never shared with people. And so I was just like, God, we got it. And that was all it took. It took was
like confirmation.
That's all it took.
I pulled that right your mouth, didn't I?
Yeah, that's all it took, was confirmation. And from freshman year on, no matter what happened, I was just like, well, I'm going to be a doctor, though.
And, you know, when you go through struggles like that, what kind of support system did you have? It's very important. You know, you made a decision that you wanted to go to medical school. You lost your grandfather. You were struggling. What kind of support system did you have to help just pull you through?
Yeah.
Did you have a good support system?
Yeah, I had a really beautiful support system. So I had great friends, but most importantly, my parents. You see my daddy sitting over there.
Yeah, I see your daddy.
I had really amazing parents that fed into me. My mom and dad. My dad wouldn't cry, but he would be the same amount of upset. But my mom would tear it up with me. Like, when I'm studying for a test, she would wake me up at 4 in the morning and be like, hey, like, your study break's over. It's time to study again. Not being a parent that's just like, oh, you have to do this. But I would call her and say, like, hey, like, I'm going to need you to wake me up in 1 hour so that I can study again. And this is a woman who works a full-time job. Wake me up at 4 in the morning, like, so I can study again. When I didn't get the grade I wanted or didn't get the grade that we felt like I needed so I can matriculate, it would be her tears that would cry with me, you know? She would write out prayers for me. And I just feel like I had a really good mom and dad, brother and sister. My sister would buy me like instruments, medical instruments when I would take a test just to let me know, like, no matter the outcome, you're still a doctor. My auntie, she would call and pray over me. I had church members, Reverend Cheryl Harvey at that time, back when I was really young. She would take me in and she would be like, look, it's going to happen. Just don't worry about it. So I had a family that went hard for me. I had a church that literally went to heaven for me, and I had friends that just held me down, and so I was blessed with an awesome support system. I never felt like they wouldn't have my back.
Yeah. So what challenges or obstacles that you face that you would like to share with other men and women of color that you went through that you would like to share with them?
Yeah, so I went through a lot of things, but I'll share a couple of them. One of the first things that was really difficult is like finding it within yourself to know that you can do it. And so that was overcome by the confirmation from heaven. Like, God saying that you're going to be a doctor completely took out my self-doubt. So that was one of the big ones, self-doubt. A lot of times we fight ourselves. We're fighting the mirror 90% of the times because we're saying, oh, we can't do it. We don't have this resource. We don't have that resource. And God is saying, but I already created a way. And so a lot of times you have to get over self. You just have to. And so that was one of the first things that I had to jump over with God's help. And then the second thing that I had to get over was test taking. So to become a medical doctor, you have to take standardized tests. The standardized test that you have to take to matriculate into medical school is called the MCAT. And I took that at the end of my junior year, going into my senior year at Spelman College. And in preparation for the test, I did not feel ready. I did a summer program at UNC Chapel Hill, and I just didn't feel like, okay, God, I'm ready to take this test. I didn't feel like I had a lot of time, and I was just like, God, I'm not going to take it. But I went to God in prayer, and I was like, God, what should I do about this exam? It's approaching, and he was like, take the test. And at that time, I was still in a babe in Christ state. So when God tells me to do something, I'm just thinking that automatically means like, oh, you about to be a millionaire. Like, you know, not knowing that he's just saying like, be obedient and do what I ask you to do. And so I took the examination and I did not do well. I got my score back. And when I say at that point, I thought that I was like the end all be all in my relationship with Christ. I was doing abstinence. I was like praying, reading. I had my own outreach ministry on campus at that time. So I just thought at that time that me and God, we were just on one-on-one. And that, not doing well on that test, knocked me into a place that at that time I had not experienced. And I realized that I thought of God as like this punitive figure, that it wasn't like a connection, more so like a he's here, I'm there. Like if something bad happens, that means God's mad at me. And I didn't think of him as a good father. I just thought of him as a father. And if good things are happening, that means he's good. If bad things are happening, he's bad, you know? And so I was in a he's bad state, and it was such a low moment because I felt like, well, God, you told me I'll be a doctor, and you can't be a doctor without having a good MCAT score. I didn't have a plan B. I didn't know where I would go after Spelman, and I just really felt low. I felt small. I felt insignificant. I felt embarrassed. Oh my gosh, I was so embarrassed. Because I felt like there were so many people looking up to me, and I wasn't going to be.
But isn't that how life is? Well, what if you have just gave up and just decided not to push forward? What do you think would have happened at that time to Dr. Harris?
I don't know, because I promise you, the one thing that kept the driving was I was like, but you made a promise. You made a promise,
and you know what?
We got to do
it. I'm
it.
glad that you stood on that promise. I'm glad that you pushed forward. I'm glad that you didn't give up. I'm glad that you're here today to tell us about that.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you so much. 100%. That was it. It was God made a promise to me. So I was like, well, we have to make it happen. And so what he did is, God is so amazing, and the way he works, we don't understand.
No, we don't.
So I told you I didn't want to take that test. And so getting the score that I got was such a low score that I felt like, God, then why did you make me take the test? Like, why was this something you asked me to do? Let me tell you, that score was the cutoff score for my master's program. And if I would not have taken that test, not only would I have not been able to even apply to my master's program, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
So he was preparing you.
He was preparing me. Like,
he's doing that.
Yeah, I mean, and there's somebody out there, and you're hearing the voice of God telling you to do something that physically does not make sense, and you feel like you understand, like, no, God, this is how it's supposed to go, or this is how I matriculate, or this is how I make it to that point. And for the life of you, you don't want to, but you're doing it. And then you do it, and it doesn't come out the way that you saw it in your head. And you're thinking, well, God, you let your child down. You disappointed me. What happened to never leave or forsake? Because this is forsaking. No. He makes all things beautiful in its time.
In its time.
In 2011, I thought that was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. In 2019, I'm telling you, in 6 months, you'll be calling me Dr. Harris. And I'll be able to heal not only through prayer, but through touch. Like, you have to submit yourself to his will, because he's always going to live up to the fulfillment of whatever he said that he will do for you. So, yeah.
Are you listening to this, viewers?
Yeah.
She's 29 years. Are you still, you 29?
29.
29 years old. 29 years old.
He'll do it. I know
they say you can always learn something from someone, and she's a babe. She's telling this I'm 55, and she's talking to me. I'm learning something today from her. Right now.
Wow.
I ain't gonna start crying, because I will.
No, but that's
I'm
what
learning
life.
something from you today that I need to hear.
Glory. Yeah, because let me tell you, life has its way, and the enemy uses it, has its way of tearing at our morale. And so you keep going, you keep feeding others, but you're getting depleted day in and day out. And the moment that your God, the one that you tell people about, doesn't fulfill something in the way in which you thought he was, the enemy knows that that could be your final strike. But what God has is the ability to see past that and be like, baby girl, if you would have only known, I have something better, and I'm going to pull you to that very start. Your mind can't even hold what I have for you. Your mind can't even take it in. And so I tell myself that eyes have not seen. That means your eyes haven't seen it. Ears have not heard. People haven't talked about it yet. And even has it entered into your heart, your emotions can't even contain what it is that God is going to do for you.
My God.
It won't contain it. So your emotions, a lot of times, it forms these lies. And I'm not saying that we as humans are liars, but a lot of times our emotions lie to us. They tell us that, man, you're depressed because God left you. Or you're depressed because it didn't happen the way he said it was going to happen. Or God allowed so-and-so and so-and-so to happen to you. You're down because of it. But that's a lie, because what God says about you is true. And he says that he looks at you as a peculiar person. You're not like nothing else. And he's going to do something peculiar for you. Yeah, so I understand. I'm young, but I've been there, and I feel like I've been there to let somebody know, do not give up.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, as a student and a minister, you go to Jackson Memorial.
Yes, ma'am.
You're a minister there. You do several things at your church. I may be talking low now, so please forgive me. Can you kind of like give them what do you do at Jackson Memorial? Excuse me. I know you're a youth director, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So just kind of give them, I mean, I know, but just kind of give them so I can get myself together.
I got you.
Okay, thank you.
I got you. Yes, so Jackson Memorial Baptist Church, I am the director over the JMBC Hype Ministry, which is our teen ministry and our little kids. And so what I do there is not only do I minister to them, but I create me and the team of young adults and I call them young adults because they're young in spirit, you know. We work together and we create these environments for our babies, for our kids to be able to understand God in their own light. A lot of our kids know God through the eyes of their parents. And it's amazing that parents are teaching their children God and raise up a child. I do believe that. But a lot of times what happens is the moment that you leave the house, your parents' eyes are gone. And so that's when we get a generation of kids that don't come back to church because they've only know God through their parents. They've only prayed through their grandmother, you know? And so we create an atmosphere where they can know God through their eyes, a personal encounter with him. And so we do Sunday services for them, for our teenagers. We do a lot of events. I've been doing lock-ins since I was 19. That's pretty much our hot event. The kids love it because they're at church all night
And
without their parents.
Night,
Yep,
right?
and they can stay up all night without the parents. And we have a bunch of speakers come in, games and different things like that for them. We also do any type of thing that will allow them to sort of be free. So we like to do like dance type parties with them because kids absolutely love to dance.
They do.
And I've learned with the hype ministry, the one thing that teenagers need and want the most is to be heard. And so we like to pass the mic when I'm ministering to them. And I realized that not only do they want to be heard by me, but they want to be heard by God. And so once you tell those babies that God hears them and you show them in the Bible how he hears them, like, look, this is what he did. That means he heard you when you prayed to him. It opens up a door for them to be relational with their Heavenly Father. So yeah, I create programs, I minister, and all around just create relationships with young people.
Okay. So how long have you been going to Jackson Memorial?
Ooh, forever.
Forever? So
yes.
is that your family church?
Well, so I'm originally from a small town outside of New Orleans called St. Rose, Louisiana. Hey, family.
So you're from Louisiana?
Yes.
Are you? Okay.
Originally. So my entire lineage is in St. Rose, Louisiana. So our home church is there, but my home church is Jackson Memorial Baptist Church because I was raised there. I've been going there since I was 1 year old.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
27 years at Jackson. I absolutely love it. They have definitely become like my safe haven.
Okay. So I have a question. You know, most kids, when they know Christ, they grow up going to church and they go off to college. Most kids, it's like an outlet for them. When they get to college, it's like, I'm free. I don't have to listen to my parent. I have this freedom to do whatever it is I want to do. How did you manage to keep God as part of your life and still do the college thing? How did you manage to do that? How did you still do your college life, still do you understand what I'm saying?
I definitely understand what you're saying. And I think that's God that you asked that question, mainly because people will be surprised. But when I went off to college, first of all, the year going off to college, I did a countdown. You can ask my dad and my poor mother. I was like, look, you got 6 more months with me and I'm out there. I'm out to the free world. And I just did a countdown. I was ready to like experience life. I used to tell my parents, like, look, when I turn 18, can I please go to the club? Because all my friends were going to teen clubs and I had never been to one. And so I was just like, I'll be 18, I can go to a real club. And they'd be like, Jada, absolutely not. And I'd be like, come on, Mom, I'm 18. Let me go to a club when I turned 18. So college was that for me. It was like this freedom, but God is so graceful because I did the bulk of that with all my parents knowing. When I went to the nightclub for the first time, Jarvis Harris, you guys can email him because clearly he's a little touched. He called the club manager to make sure he knew everything about the club. He gave me the full rundown of how the club looked, how it was going to be when I walked in. I knew everything about that club before I walked into it. Yes, and so I always felt like no matter what, I could be open with them and I can be transparent with them. And that's sort of the relationship I had with God. But with church, it was different. I felt like I wasn't very well known at my church. I used to sit by myself, just me and my sister, and it was a larger church, so a lot of times you can feel small sometimes. Not saying that Jackson made me feel small, but I myself just felt like I was just there for my parents. And so when I got to college, I told myself, I'm going to college and you're going to sleep on Sundays. And I slept on Sundays for one semester. Like literally, I went from being the girl that everyone came to for prayer before exams in high school to going to college, and I don't even know if my homies knew that I was Christian. Like, you know, not from actions, not from my verbiage, not from the way I was living. I literally just like separated because I wanted good, did it? Well, I told God, I was like, God, I love you, but I want to be normal. Like, I know every Christian song in the book, but I don't know any secular song. I just want to be normal. That's what I told him. And you know how God is. He doesn't play with his babies. And it wasn't like he was on me like a disciplinarian, but he pulled me home in such a beautiful way. One Sunday, the last Sunday in the semester, me and my group of friends, we had this big sleepover. And then that Sunday morning, they were like, hey, we all want to go to church. But we woke up really late. And so they were like, there's no church that still be having service this time. And I was like, oh, but there's a church called Jackson Memorial Baptist Church where the pastor definitely still preaches. well into one. Oh, so I was like, guys, we'll do that, I was like, guys, there's a church in Atlanta, you know, that's a little long-winded. I think we can make it. And so we all got together. We looked cute because at that time we're 19, so we were just like, oh, we're going to look good. And so we got cute and everything. And at that time, my dad was the armor bearer for the First Lady, so I called him up. And I was like, Daddy, we're going to come to church. And he was like, oh, okay, Jay. And so me and my friends, we toted ourselves to church that Sunday. And I'm telling you, by the time the sermon was over, we were all in the altar crying.
Wow.
Like, laid out crying. And that was such a beautiful experience. But at that time, it was emotions, you know? It was the emotional experience. And I remember church ended, and I introduced my friends to the pastor because he loves people. And the First Lady was like, can y'all come to my office? So we all went to her office, and she was like, all right, God told me that you're going to start an outreach ministry. And I was like, oh my gosh, perhaps the streets told you. They don't know me for that. They don't know me for that, First Lady. And it was just like that. I went home and I said, well, Jesus, you did it again. I am back. And
he is awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome. And so he did a purifying process through me doing ministry. And what that is for a lot of parents and a lot of young people, you feel like you can't do what God has called you to do until you're completely, quote unquote, clean. Well, your righteousness unto him is filthy rags. Okay? So that being said, when he calls you, activate. You start working.
Oh my God.
Because he purifies you. He did not call me because I had the best mouth. He did not call me because I went to church on Sundays. He definitely didn't call me because people knew me on campus for being Christian. At all.
Wow.
At all. So he took a girl who at that time decided not to read her Bible and made her over Bible studies.
That's pretty good, Dr. Harris.
I mean, it's amazing the God we serve. Never count anyone out because he doesn't. He doesn't.
So when you leave in 2020, what's going to happen with the outreach at Is it at Morehouse or is it Spelman?
Well, the outreach ministry was at Spelman and Morehouse. And when I left in 2012, that was a difficult transition. I had someone over it at the time, but I was doing so much, and it's hard to make someone else do all of that. And so what happened is, though we tried to do the transition, it was too much for one person to bear on their own. And so he was not able to do it. And I had to understand that. You can't ask everyone to take on those type of the things that you were willing to take on. And so we drizzled out of the college campus, and I matriculated into the master's program. And I would just do Bible studies with my friends and stuff like that on campus.
Okay.
To be honest.
So what do you see yourself doing in the next 5-10 years? What's the next step for Dr. Harris?
Oh, that's a good question, because I don't know.
You don't know?
Okay, I'm in a stage right now.
2020 is right around the corner,
I know. My application is actually due in a month. So I have always loved oncology, which is the study of cancer. And I wanted to be an oncologist, which is a cancer doctor. So that has been a desire for a long time. And then just recently, family medicine, which is your general practitioner, came into my heart through Christ, literally not through me, because I was just I don't want to be a family doc. So I'm at this place where I am literally fasting and praying, in my word, trying to hear, God, what is it that you want me to do? Because that will dictate how I apply, who writes my letters of recommendation. So you all can cover me in prayer that God speaks clearly on this subject, and that I move forward with faith, knowing that he wants me to do whatever field that is.
I would definitely do that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And I'd like to thank your dad for joining us today.
Hey,
he's over there. And I'll be praying for your mom, too, that she recovers. I really was looking forward to seeing her. Even your little brother. He was so cute and funny. Your mom's fun, too. But I want to thank you again for joining us. And of my guests, I have a couple of guests here that's going to be actually joining me. And we have some exciting news. I have a co-host that's really my backbone. She's awesome. Lisa's going to be joining me as co-host of my show. She's joined us. She's always acting shy. She's definitely not shy, but boy, she keeps me straight. I tell you.
Yes, and she's fancy. She looks amazing.
She's
y'all.
always fancy, but she's going to be joining me as co-host, and I'm excited about that. We haven't decided. Well, we have decided, but we're going to hush until we decide that we're going to be bringing her on. So I am really thankful and glad. We're going to be wrapping it up. So I know you said you're not big about your social media, but you do have a Facebook page.
I definitely have Facebook.
And don't be forgetting me when you get ready for that graduation, so I can be loud in the audience and with my sign up there, with doctor up there, really, really big.
I love loud people. I love people that come with signs. Cut up, all right? Cut up.
I'm being ordered though. I'm being.
Oh no, we don't do that. I told you I'm from a small town outside of New Orleans. We come to scream.
So go ahead and give them your Facebook page. And do you do speaking engagements?
Yes, ma'am. I actually do.
We should have like a youth exposure or something where we have like youth ministers, youth choirs. We should have something where the youth just take control and they just take over the pulpits and just let them just do it. I think we should do something like that.
I think that would be really fun.
That would be really awesome, right?
Yeah.
And then you get up there and do what you do. I would really have liked to see that sermon on you and that faith thing.
I can send you it. They have like a Facebook version of it.
Do they?
Yeah.
I would really. Somebody told me about that. They said, she just did All Youth Sunday and she did this thing on faith and she was amazing. It's like, she didn't tell me that.
Oh wow, yeah, I can send you that one.
Okay,
I can send you that one
to me. So that's pretty amazing. So let them know your Facebook page.
Yes. So I'll let you know my Facebook page, and we have a couple of little events coming up. So we just finished a youth explosion, but now we have a youth prayer breakfast, and that's going to be at Jackson Memorial Baptist Church, and that is going to be the 24th of August. So it's around the corner. Bring your kids. We want to pray over them. We want to cover them. A young man by Keandre, he's going to be doing the word, and he's one of my students. So
wow.
He's in 10th grade. I am yeah, you have to use your kids because that teaches them,
Yeah, it does.
So he's going to be giving the word. So come on out to that. And then Mount Pleasant, they're
Okay.
having like a youth after dark type thing.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
their like youth explosion, and I'm going to
Okay.
be preaching.
So is this going to be at Mount Pleasant?
That's going to be Mount Pleasant, and that's going to be September the 28th, I believe.
They're so awesome. They're always having some amazing things at their church. We're starting to do a little bit more community things at our church. We're now starting to do Saturday church, so I'm excited about that.
That's really good.
Yeah,
Is it Saturday evening?
Well, no, it's Saturday mornings at 10. We just had one this Saturday, and our next one is going to be August the 17th.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're just starting. It's pretty good, amazing turnout. So
No, that's awesome. Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So my Facebook is Jada, Jada, Mone'e, Monee. It's not money, y'all. It's Mone'e. Okay? Harris, Harris. So Jada Mone'e Harris. That is my Facebook. I have an Instagram, but I am not on there, so it won't be worth your while to even go on there. I'm on a fasting season from Instagram. But yeah, so you can hit me up on Facebook. I'm always in my Facebook. I love Facebook. It's fun for me. My whole church is on Facebook, so all my business out there, y'all.
Yeah, I think that's as much as I can go. They're telling me you need to get a public figure Instagram.
I'm with the check.
I'm like, I don't even know how to do that. I'm just, as far as I can go is Facebook. That's as far as I can go.
Instagram was fun, but I was doing the most. Like, I was on the shade room all the time. It was not good for my spirit. I had to go.
So we do have a few viewers. We're about to close out. I don't know if there's anyone that may have any call-ins that may want to call in. The call-in number is 470-251-4343. So if there's anyone that may want to call in and ask Jada a couple of questions, just say hello or whatever, you feel free to call in and ask a couple of questions. If not, we're going to be signing off, and our next show is going to be on August, when is it? August 19th. Not for sure who our guest is going to be at that time, but we will be back on August 19th. And we have a flyer. Mike, do you have that flyer for us? Our church is going to be, as we were just talking about, it's going to be Saturday church. My church is going to be having it. We just had an amazing turnout August the 3rd. We'll be having it again on August the 17th. You guys should come out. It was so phenomenal. That's something that we're starting to do, and you're really going to enjoy it. A lot of people are not able to come out on Sunday, so our bishop, I think, is trying to create that atmosphere for those people who are not able to come out on Sundays. You can come out and worship with us on Saturdays, and it's really amazing. So we're going to go ahead and close out for today's segment. Again, I want to thank you for joining us, and thank you all for viewing with us, and we're going to say good night, and we'll see you again on August 19th.
Bye.
Good night.